So she's a hero, as Amy said here. So, well, thank you so very much. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here Monday morning. Special thanks to Christine and Garrick from the modernization team, who have both agreed to be here this morning. Not just only this morning, I think they are readily available to us as a college when we have questions. And they just said a few minutes ago that they will be willing to come back, maybe even in the spring, if more faculty are interested in this. So thank you so very much. We know that change is always difficult, so we all understand that. And we are here to also provide support to make your work, greater than what it already is. Just to give a little bit of storyline behind this meeting, some of our faculty have been having enormous challenges accessing basic grant data information such as, how much money have I spent this month? How much money do I have left? And those things are really very crucial for faculty, because if they don't know, then they have the tendency of overspending or underspending. And in fact, the bigger side of that argument is that we might run against federal policies if that is not well monitored. So, and we certainly do not want that will have huge implications for WSU. So this is really important to us, and I know it's important to you as well. So thanks to Bev, a week or two ago, Bev held a session for faculty internally and showed us a few tricks and things, ways by which we can get through some information, but we still felt like it would be nice to have you here so that faculty can, just express this is what they are dealing with, and also provide data sources to you so that you know, okay, these are probably changes that you need to make in WorkDay to make things easier for faculty and staff. So that's, I just want to stop there. I don't know if Bev or Laura have other comments, but that's why we are called on this meeting. So thanks again for being here. And this meeting can be as flexible as we all want it to be. If you from the modernization team would like to say a few words before we start, but I really would like faculty to be open to tell you some of the challenges that they are having, so that we can have robust discussion here this morning.
Yeah, thank you for the invite. Sorry for the delay there, finding the mute button. Yeah, we're happy to walk through kind of what we're, some of the trainings that we're offering, and we're always open to hearing feedback. We've been working with some other colleges that may have some similar concerns. And so all in all, we're just dedicated to try to make these things better, and we can't do that without, hearing from you all. I think for today, Sola, we'd plan to do, we just kind of show our top reports and some instructions around those, and then happy to answer questions if we can. And whatever helps you all move forward is what we're going to accomplish.
Oh, great. Thank you for that. That would be good. Ultimately today, I'm hoping that our faculty can be harmed, can be, given the tools that will make them, independent, so that we don't have to call on Bev or you for any little thing that we have to do. So if we can achieve at least a little bit of independence today in terms of accessing basic information, I think that would be great. Amy, Molly, other faculty, Judy? Judy is also not just only a faculty, she's also responsible for the research enterprise on the Tri-Cities campus, but she is a faculty member in the College of Education. So Judy, if there are other things that you would like them to address today, and all the faculty, please, maybe this would be a good time for you to say that so that they can, modify the session today to fit your needs.
I'll just say that I attended the session that you had last Monday, I believe. Was it last Monday? And that was great. That was very helpful. And I think just the one thing that came out of that was some people asked for maybe a little bit more hands-on time, like doing it rather than just listening to you talk us through. Maybe we do it while you're talking. Do you know what I mean? That was the thing I heard. But that was a great session. So I know that'll help everybody.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, I did send out the session recording just a few minutes ago also to anybody who had registered, and the PowerPoint deck that had some of the information and some links to more resources as well. So if anybody wanted to come Monday but wasn't able to make it, we do have the recording and the materials available.
Great. Amy, anyone?
I couldn't attend the session, but I did register and I just received your email. Christine, thank you. I will look at that. I think my biggest struggle, and Bev has helped me a lot, but is getting a report the way it's useful to me. And I don't know if the problem is that we all have different versions of what's useful, but it seems like right now Bev has helped me to figure out how to get this and how to get that, but I can't. Let me just tell you my dream, because in the past, this is how I've worked with my budgets, and I can't figure out how to get it all in one place through WorkDay. And it seems to me that this would be pretty basic for anyone running a grant. So whether other people want this or not, I think they might appreciate it if they had it. And that is, we work with our budgets based on budget line items, right? So salaries, graduate student pay, supplies, computer equipment, travel, those kinds of typical things. And I just recently from Bev showed me how to run an expense report where I can finally get my expenses as they happen chronologically and what they were for. But what I would really like is something that mirrors the budget that I submit to NSF. And that would be lines of my budget, like in the categories I just explained, the to-date expenses by those lines, the encumbered amounts by those lines, and then the funds remaining by those lines. And like if I could get it monthly and then find out through another, I'm fine to go to another report for, okay, what was spent that past month in those lines, but just that summary monthly look that way that mirrors the budget the way I have to submit it to the agency. I see you nodding, Christine, so I'm hoping that this is making sense. And is there a way to do that without running 4 different reports to get what I want? And let me just ask my colleagues, because I saw Marcus's head nodding. Is that the kind of thing that others would want to, but can't figure out how to find?
Yes.
Because we work, we're accountable to the agencies this way by our budgets, right? Not by date, not by expenses by date, but by category. And like with NSF, I can't spend out of my category by more than 10% without getting approval from my program officer. So I'm always worried about compliance by budget category.
Mm-hmm.
So do you need more from me, or should I be quiet now?
Thank you, Amy. So very true.
I'd be happy to kind of jump into our test environment and show some examples of reports that I think would help get to where you're looking for. Shola, is it okay if I use your grants as an example?
Sure.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
proxied as you right now in Sandbox. So I'd like to share my screen and see if we can kind of talk through whether this meets your needs. So I think the report that Bev showed you was this one, probably sponsored expense detail report, most likely. And so that, like you said, that has, your different expenses for the month, and it'll subtotal it by category just within whatever date range you ran it for. So I ran this one for the month of November, and it breaks out all the line items. So that part you've got covered, but it sounds like what you're asking for is the budget to actuals cumulatively to date by those different cost categories. So that's what this report is meant to do, and I'll put the title of it in the chat. I hope that this is going to get a little bit closer to what you're looking for. And so just to show you, when you run it, you don't have to enter anything in the prompts. You can leave them completely blank, and it will bring back all of the grants that you are assigned the grant PI security role on. So that's everything you would have access to see budget to actuals for. And if you don't put any dates in here, then it's going to be life to date as of whenever you run the report. You may have some grants that you have security access to that have termed or that are not relevant anymore because maybe you've spent them out and you're just waiting on SPS to close them, for example, or maybe for whatever reason you don't need to monitor them as often as you do others. You can add specific grant work tags here. Like if I put in, I'm just looking for a couple from this list. If I said maybe these are just the two that Shola you really want to see all the time, and the rest of them maybe you don't have to check as often, you can make a filter down here by entering like my most important grants, whatever you want to call it, and then save. And then that way, when you come to run the report and you pull it up and it's blank, you can come down here to your filters, click that, and it pulls in those that you saved as your most important ones. So you don't have to type it in every time or remember the numbers. And I always forget to do this, so I'm going to show you one more thing. You may not know the number of your grant ID, and that's okay. You can type in the name of the project and it will still pull up. Like I see one of them is Brownfield Program something. So if you just type in a few words from the project, it will bring up the grants that have those words in them. So you don't have to have the number memorized if you don't want to. So maybe I just want to see all of those Brownfield Program grants. And then you can click OK and it will run it like that. Just to go back here to the one that I already had pulled up. So when you first run the report, it's going to come like this where it's all closed up. But if you push the little arrow next to the grant total button, that expands the screen. So it shows the budget, expenses, commitments and obligations, which are the same as encumbrances in our legacy system, and then the available balance. And then when you want to get down to the categories, like you were saying, according to your NSF cost categories in your budget, that's where you can take a line like this and then put the arrow next to that grant work tag and see the breakdown by different budget categories. Well, that one turns out it only has one budget line, so not as interesting to look at. Let's pick a different one and see if maybe there's some more to look at here. Here we go. So this one, now you can see salaries, goods and services, travel, etc., what you've spent and what's been encumbered in each category. And if you wanted to look further into either the expenses or the commitments or obligations, any of the blue numbers that are hyperlinked, you can drill into by just clicking that number. So maybe you want to see what this travel is for, or who charged travel expenses to your grant. If you click that, it brings up this field with a lot more detail, maybe more detail than you need. That's totally fair. Maybe you want to look at the other PI sponsored expense detail report to see that information possibly, but if you wanted to write in your report, that's kind of one of the coolest things about WorkDay, is that it lets you just drill in further and further and take a look. And it turns out these expenses say conversion, which means they came from our legacy system and they were brought in. We did that process so that you'd be able to see your cumulative balances, including legacy expenses. So I picked an example at random, maybe less exciting to look at. Let's see if maybe I can find one that has more recent charges. I'm not sure if this equipment was bought recently, but we can take a look. That one looks like conversion as well. But let me see if I can find one that has some current expenses on it or some encumbrances. For example, looks like we have some encumbrances on this one, maybe for salaries. So you can drill into the expenses or the encumbrances the same way, and it will pull up the information here. So this way you can see encumbrances post as a positive, and then when they're liquidated, the negative shows up. So if we've encumbered salaries on your grant, it will show up for up to the fiscal year we're in and one more fiscal year. So up to 2 fiscal years on grants only. And then you'll see them liquidate in these positives and negatives. So that's how you could tell whose salaries are encumbered or committed on your grant. That's kind of an example of a report that I think gets towards what you're looking for. I do want to point out you can download it to Excel with this little icon up here. And when you do, it'll look something like this.
Mhm.
If you aren't familiar with this feature in Excel, there are these different levels that offer the same expansion hierarchy that I was just showing in WorkDay.
Cool.
So the plus button here opens and closes it to the grant level, and then next to each row you can open and close it to that budget level that you were kind of looking for.
I downloaded to Excel, but I haven't done that.
Yeah, you can also do that with these little numbers here at the top. So if you hit the 1, it closes up everything at that level, and if you hit the 2, it opens up everything to the same level, and if you hit the 3, it opens all of them at once. So that's just a tip for using it in Excel format.
Okay, I'm following you. This is very fast, but I see we're recording. So I'm probably going to want this recording, Laura, so that I can do my own version of YouTubing this. But
yes, of course.
We are also in the process of publishing reference guides for this report specifically and for this report. And so the reference guide is going to say step by step how to run the report and how to download it and look at it in Excel. The reference guide is also, we're going to do a reference guide for how to schedule them. If kind of you said earlier, you'd like to see this once a month, we can schedule the reports so that they'll download in Excel format automatically into your reports in WorkDay, and then you'll get an email with a link where you can get that Excel format file if you want that every month. And so the reference guide will say how to set it up for a monthly schedule. If you wanted to do it more often or less often than that, I can help you adjust the schedule to a different frequency that would be more useful for you.
That would be wonderful. When do you expect the reference guide to come out?
Hopefully tomorrow.
Oh,
I'm doing
now,
a presentation with another group of faculty on Wednesday, and I'm hoping the guides will be ready for their meeting at least, since they weren't quite ready for yours.
At the risk of sounding we get a lot of email. Is it possible that you could send an email with that link? I don't know if it's to Laura or Shola who could forward it to us, because then I would know to look for that in particular. Because part of the problem, to be honest, I know folks have done a lot to communicate on WorkDay, but we don't even know the discourse to know what's relevant for us. So it's about equivalent to me getting those emails in Russian, to be honest, and I don't know Russian. So I don't, and I don't know what the solution is, because I know you're communicating with a lot of folks, but if you, for this one in particular, because I'm seeing other folks' heads nodding, if there's a way you could send that to Laura, and Laura, does that make sense to you, that you could then target it out to us and provide the little
yes, perfect. I will connect with WorkDay staff, and then I will be happy to share with you and also post for all faculty somewhere.
Thank you, because I bet this will take care of a lot of our struggles.
Well, Amy,
yeah, I hope so.
Amy, I can show you. I think that's the easiest way. It'll take you one time to do it, and you'll know how to do it. I can't do it for you.
Yeah,
you can do it, and it will be You will see. It's very, very,
Well, yeah, and Bev,
Yeah.
you've shown me so much. I think with their reference guide, I would be fine because some of the other emails you've sent me with detailed instructions. So I think with their reference guide, I'd be good at this point. I don't know, I can't speak for others, but this is really getting there. Yeah, and like you say, I think there's more information than we might want, but at least if I can get to it, that's a big help. Thank you.
And, you know, if there's time or if you want, we can even do some of that hands-on right now. If you'd like, I can show you how to schedule this report, and anybody who wants to schedule it on the call right now can go through together. It doesn't take more than a couple of minutes.
Christine, if we've got time, I don't know what else is on the agenda, but if we got to a point where we could model and kind of set up some reports, and those, I mean, did they give us a notification, an email, hey, your report, here it is, and here's a spreadsheet sort of thing?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be really, really useful for me as far as leading this meeting.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. Does anybody have anything else that we should cover first before we do that? Nope. Okay. I didn't see anything in the chat. So one thing, oh yeah, go ahead.
I do have a cut, and Bev, you might be able to answer this. I'm trying to pull up, you sent us that account spreadsheet in Workday the other day. And I know that I've got, so Bev, are all of my accounts accessed through this portal, or were there like two separate places depending on where those budgets were that I need to be drawing from?
well, you have multiple kinds of budgets. So all Christine and Garrick are talking about are grant budgets. We're not talking about state funded budgets or local funded budgets. So just
Tips.
grants. Yeah, every
Okay.
kind of fund source has a different kind of report to order.
Okay, thank you. And so this would just be relevant for, I'll look at that, but just for the federal dollars.
Yeah, for your TIPSID and your self-sponsored account. That's all
Okay.
this is for.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Well, anything else before we do a little scheduling? No? Okay. All right. Well, one thing I did want to show you before we schedule the report is if you are interested in running the reports in Workday, one way to save a little bit of time on that is to add them to your favorites. So on the home screen, when you're logged in this menu on the left side, you have a little app called Favorites. And there's a really quick way to add kind of a bookmark to not just this report, but any task you might need to do in Workday if you are interested. And I'll show you really fast before I do the schedule. So you go to Favorites, and then this gear up in the right-hand side allows you to manage favorites. And when you click Manage Favorites, then you can type in the names of the reports or tasks that you do a lot. For example, maybe I'm in the test environment, so this isn't actually going to affect your favorites, Shola, just for an example. You can do create expense report. If you have to create expense reports for travel that you might do, you can put a task like that in the tasks section. And then under custom reports, that's where you would put the name of the report that we just ran. So I'm going to copy it from the chat and then paste it in here and click that first option. Just in general, if you see these others that have extra things after a dash, ignore those, and you want the one that matches exactly what's in the chat.
Let me just ask my colleagues, are other folks trying to do this real time? So can you slow
I can't figure out what menu.
I
I
can't-
can't figure out what
Absolutely.
menu to get to.
Okay. Okay, got it. So I'm going to start over. I'll show you one more time. Okay, so on your home screen, when you first log into Workday, you're going to see a button that, or a screen that looks like this with your inbox kind of preview, and then your top apps over here and some notifications. Okay, so if you're here in the left-hand top right, or sorry, top left corner under menu, you would click that, and then under this list of apps, you'll see one with a star that's called Favorites. And so if you click Favorites, if you have already done this, you'll see your favorites here, but if you haven't set up any favorites yet, this is a way to bookmark things that you might want to do in Workday. So the gear icon in the right-hand side is where you'll click to manage your favorites. Click the gear and then click manage favorites. And then this is where you can type in the names of tasks or reports that you want to kind of bookmark for frequent use. So I'm going to copy the title of the report that I put in the chat from our Zoom meeting into this second column, favorite custom reports.
Awesome. Is there like a menu of options that we should be? So there we go. So if I favorite task or reports and I do the 3 drop down, I don't get anything. If I go to favorite custom reports, that's when it's going to give me a list of the 80, 100 different options.
It's probably going to be a lot of options. I would start by, yeah, so you can click the 3 buttons and go through the drop down, but you might get more reports than you really want to scan through. So that's why I would recommend just kind of.
Marcus,
how do we know which one's the right? Yeah.
Marcus, if you look at that spreadsheet I gave you the other day, it listed the reports that are your reports that you need to look at.
Yeah, so I would copy and paste the titles of those reports from your list into this search bar and then select them. I'll just do the 2 that we were just talking about. So that one was CRGRA PI award lines budget to actual summary, and I put that in the chat. The other one, the expense detail report, is CRGRA PI sponsored expense detail. And so once you have those selected, and I'll put this one in the chat as well. Oh, sorry. Let me just copy. Oh, it's not going to let me copy it from there. I'm going to copy the text here. All right. Once you have your favorites selected, then you just click OK, and whatever you've entered will be added to your list. So from there on, when you log into Workday and you come to your menu and click on favorites, you'll see something like this. And then you can just click the button for the report name to open up that report. And if you ever want to add more, you can just do manage favorites like we just did. So let me pause there. Any questions?
Getting a few set up.
Okay. So one thing to be aware of when you're managing favorites is any of the reports that say CR at the beginning of them, that stands for custom report. So you need to enter them in the custom reports box like I did in my demonstration. If the report doesn't say CR at the beginning of it, that means it's not a custom report, and you can enter it in the top box for favorite tasks / reports.
Is it okay to add multiple in this list?
Yep, as many as you want. Well, at least I should say I have not found an upper limit. Like there's no maximum that I'm aware of. Okay, so that's how to set it up as a favorite, so that then when you want to run your report, it's easy to get to it in Workday. And just, you can also, find that favorites here, but it may appear, depending on how often you use it, it may appear in your top apps over here too, or you can click view all apps and get to the same spot. So are people ready for me to start showing how to schedule a report together, or should I pause for a little bit? I'm not sure. Okay. All right, I'm gonna
quick pause. I'm trying to do the filter thing that you said before. I don't know if others are wanting to do that first, but
so you're talking about where you would select specific grants or awards and then save a filter. So I can show how to do that again. So you can do it by entering the keywords from the project title, or if you know the number of your grant ID from maybe the report that Bev sent you, you could enter it by the grant ID. Either one will work. I'll just do another pretend example here while I'm logged in as Shola. So I'm going to type high impact engagement. Looks like one of the names of these grants. and it's going to pull back any grant with those keywords in the title. I might not have given it enough to go off of, potentially. There could be a lot of grants with a similar name. All right, that looks like one, and I think this one is too. So let's say I wanted to run this award lines budget to actual summary report for just these grants. I could name a filter down here in this filter name box like this, and then click save. And then now it shows up here under saved filters, and the arrow lets you select which one you want to pick. So if I click my most important grants, it brings up these two that I had saved earlier in the demonstration. If I pick high impact engagement, my apologies.
So how do we get two up there at once? That's what I'm struggling with.
Oh, okay. So you type in the grants. However, the first one, after you type in the words that you want and you select it, I usually hit enter, and then the cursor returns to the search bar. So then you can type in another one. I don't remember what another ID was, but let's say it's this one. And you can keep doing that every time after you hit enter. It should return right back to the same spot, and you can keep adding them as many as you want. Or if you click out of it and click back in, just as long as you put your cursor on that search line and then type a new grant, you should be able to. Likewise, if you search by the title and you get a drop-down list with checkboxes, you can just check as many of the boxes as you need to and then click outside of that box, like anywhere outside that box on the screen, and it should save them. So then you can add your filters whenever you're ready, click save. I'm kind of curious. Yeah, that one's already there. Why did this one? I wonder, I'm not sure why that one didn't save, but I'm gonna redo it. So here's another tip. If you want to add something to your filter, like you get a new grant that needs to go in your most important filter or whatever, you can basically add it and then type the same filter name as you already have. Like I'm going to type high impact engagement again, and then click save, and it'll ask me to replace the previous one. So if you need to update your filter, you can bring it up, add the one you want, type the same name, and then replace it, and it should just update it with the new search terms.
So Christine, why don't you hit the OK there so that they will see what it looks like when it comes up with the two different as opposed to one?
Yeah, so the report will run here, and then it'll bring back.
Okay, what did you, when I entered one as an award and one as a grant, it doesn't matter, right?
If you have an award that has multiple award lines, like maybe it's split across years of funding, or it's split between a home account and a sub-award, then if you enter the award, it's going to bring back everything. If you enter it by grant work tag, it depends on if you enter the grants for both lines, or if you just enter one of them, what you'll get back.
So I really want them both as grants.
Well, it depends on what you want to see. So if you want to see, do you want to see all of the grants for that whole award? I just know some PIs don't care about the subcontracts as much as the portion of the funding they're spending. So they may do it by grant, so they can only put in that home account that they're really spending off of. And some PIs might want to monitor the sub awards more closely in some cases, so they might do it by award and then get everything.
Okay,
and those, sorry, those are languages, award versus grant, that I need to get some clarification on.
Yeah. So let me show you.
Hey, Bev, could I ask you a side thing?
Yeah.
For my award that Dave Slavitt has part of the budget, I would want that as an award, but then for my NSF grant on curriculum, I'd want that as a grant. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
your best if with the David Slavitt, if you use the AWD number, which is the award
Okay.
number. And then there are two GRs, two grant numbers under there. And you want to see David's also because you want to make sure he's spending because you're the primary on it.
Right.
So then the same thing Marcus would want to do. In your particular case, Marcus, you would want the TIPSID, the GR number 500863. That's what you would want because you don't want to, unless you want to see the cost share. If you want to see the cost share on it, you'd use the AWD number.
And then what's that third one down there? The 508670.
8670. I don't know what that one. GR, is it GR 4 zeros?
It is GR 408670.
867C. I don't know, that's part of the let's look at it here and see what it says. That's just part of the big award, but I don't think there's any, is there any money in 8670?
It was just in that spreadsheet. It's listed as a separate column in the same way that the 6625 in the other, those other two, those are AWD. I'm sorry, I'm coming from a different type of thinking this morning. And so I'm just trying to kind of translate into the grant world.
I'll look.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Okay, I just ran
kind
a
of
query.
to answer your question, though, in general, the award is, thinking from the sponsor's perspective, it's the complete project. It's the full amount of funding that they've awarded to WSU. The grant work tags are a way of splitting up that funding for coding purposes into different accounts. So a grant is kind of an equivalent of a budget project in our legacy system, or one account, one pot of funding for spending purposes. And the award is the entire project combined, everything together. And so the award in WorkDay looks like this, where you have a total amount that's being sponsored. If there's cost share, that would show up here in this header section. You have the full award period of performance, however long that may be, the ORSO number, the sponsor, everything that pertains to the entire project is on the award record. And then under the award lines tab is where you would see the grant work tags that indicate where it's been split up into different budgets. So you might have different F&A rates. That might be a reason that we need to split it up into separate budgets. They might have different PIs. Maybe you and your co-I are splitting your award, so you have different budgets for that reason. Maybe it's because of carry forward. If you had awards where carry forward was not automatically allowed, they might split up the funding for that reason. So there can be reasons why you'd want it into different buckets that way. And each award line will have a different grant work tag to aggregate costs into those different buckets, if you will, different budget lines.
Thank you. Becoming more and more familiar with that term grant work tag seems like that could be helpful and important for my work.
It is important also to know that there's security access that's different. I think it was your award, or maybe it was somebody else that was asking, where you have a co-I. And so each grant has a grant PI security role. That individual is the person who's responsible for the spend that happens on that budget. But that might be different than at the award header level, where you have security roles that are matching what's on the proposal, like contact lead PI, co-I, senior key personnel. So that determines the security access to the overall award. There's only one person who's assigned the grant PI for each grant work tag, though. So just to be aware, if you're not seeing what you expect to see when you run reports, if a grant that you expect to see show up doesn't show up for you, or it shows up with no data in it, but your administrator can see that there is spend happening, that probably is due to a missing security role. So if you see some kind of weird results, check with Bev and see if she can compare with her access to make sure that maybe you're just missing a grant PI role assignment. Once that's corrected, you should see all the data that you expect to see. All right, so I saw that note just now, actually, after I just said that, Amy, I see your note that the screen shows all zeros. Just guessing that's probably a security role that we need to look at and make sure that you have all the right role assignments. If it's an award you should have access to and you know that there has been spending on it or has been some kind of activity, then it probably shouldn't be showing zeros. So we would want to take a look at your security access and try and fix that. But
may I share screen real quickly?
Yeah.
Because this is, and I don't mean to, hopefully this will help other people too, but so this is what I see for the 2 awards I put in my filter. Hopefully, and then if I click this, I'm not getting the report I want, right? I'm just getting all of this, which I've seen long ago.
Yeah, so what you've pulled up right there is just the award record. It's
Right.
not a report per se, it's the actual object. But let me take a look at the security roles.
So, but this is the right thing I should have to get the report you shared with us, right?
Yes, it is. I'm just taking a look at the grants that you had on the screen. 1, 2, 3, 4. Could you refresh your screen for me?
Hey, Christine, it's Garrick. Is that grant and that award related?
No, they don't appear to be.
Okay. It's not trying to exclude it because it's not related, is it?
I don't think so, but
and if this is specific to me, I don't mean to take up everyone's time.
Well, I would like to look further into this because that's a good question that Garrick raised. I'm not sure if I've tried running it with an award and a grant at the same time that are not related to each other. So could you send me a screenshot of your screen right now and just in Teams or over email, and I'll take a look further and get back to you? Because that's not the behavior I would expect to see either. And I'm checking, and you do have the grant PI role assignment like I would expect on both of the grants that you have pulled up, and you also have the contact lead PI role assignment on the award, which is also correct. So I would like to just look at that further.
They're both your awards. They're just they're 2 different awards that you're talking about. One of them's your noise and the other's your, what do we call that? The air award.
So do you think it might be because I asked for an award and a grant in combination in my filter?
I'm guessing that's what
I'm
it
not
is.
sure. I'll take a look at that and see if I can get it to do the same thing, and then if changing that filter fixes it or not. I'll just have to play with it a little bit and see. Okay, how about I show how to set up that schedule? All right, so when you want to schedule a report, in the search bar, you type schedule a report. And then it'll come up with a task like this, and you would click that. So I'm going to try and go slow.
Sorry. Yeah. Where do we go back to now?
On your Workday home screen, you can click the WSU logo to get to your home screen.
Okay.
Or you don't have to be on the home screen. There's always a search bar at the top, even if you're in a report, just anywhere in the search bar.
Okay.
So then you type schedule a report and then click the task, schedule a report. And then here on this little pop-up, you would put in the name of the report. So let's use the PI award lines budget to actual summary. I'm going to copy and paste from the chat again. And then I hit enter. And you want to select this one. Remember that if you see these other reports with a dash after it and some other stuff, you want the one that's exactly the same title as what I put in the chat. And then when you have that selected, where it says run frequency, this is telling Workday how often you want it to run. I'm going to demonstrate how to do it monthly. So select monthly recurrence.
This is by report type?
It's by report, by individual report.
Mhm.
And
So
so
this
on
is-
that, so when I said, I'm sorry, I missed a step.
Okay.
When I selected, did the search, selected the schedule a report, and now it says, report, and then I give the 3 drop-down menus, and it gives me 6 or 7 different options, none of which are that item.
I would copy and paste the one from that I put in the chat. I'll put it in here again. So it's right fresh on your chat in Zoom. So that way you can just copy and paste the title into that field and it'll save you time.
Got it.
Okay.
Pasted, select, and don't select run now. Select that monthly reoccurrence.
Correct. Yeah. From the drop down, pick monthly recurrence.
Didn't take the type.
After you paste it into the chat, hit enter.
Enter.
And then when you see the one you want and you click that checkbox, then click outside of the box. Did it take it then?
Hitting enter is the step
Got
I
it.
always forget, Marcus.
Yep. Yeah, I'm used to using tab.
I
Yeah.
know. That took me a while to get used to as well, going from our old system.
Thank you for that. I've got that set up.
Okay, so then when you select monthly recurrence, click OK. And now this is where it gets a little technical, so I'll try and go slow. If I'm going too fast, let me know. Here, you don't have to change any of these values on this report for it to bring back cumulative expenses. So as long as you want it to bring back your cumulative available balance and your cumulative expenses for your awards as of the day that the report runs, then you don't need to change anything on this screen. If you have a reason why you might want to see only a specific date range, I can show how to do that, but my recommendation would be not to change any of these values, to just bring back your life to date cumulative balances so that you know as of the time the report was run how much you have left to spend. So leave the report criteria tab as it is and go to the schedule tab.
Even if we have more than one grant we want to run and we don't want to run any old grants, we don't need to put any awards in.
Okay, so in that case, I guess it depends on whether you're okay ignoring the data that you don't care about when it comes. If you don't want to see your old grants, then I would say you want to enter your grant IDs here in this grant field.
Okay.
If
and can I do more than one there?
Correct. Yes, you can.
Okay, can you wait a second while we do that?
Absolutely. Yeah,
I don't
let me
know if you're the same way, Marcus, and others, but I don't want to see my old ones.
Just let me know when you're ready to continue.
Oh, and then if we press enter, it's just like the last one that it'll give us space to do another.
Okay, I see some people in the chat have posted about some errors. Jonah, it looks like maybe you've already moved on to the schedule tab, and we'll get there in a second. If you want to let me know if you're still seeing those errors when we get to that section.
I have mine entered. I don't know if others are ready to go. Do I press OK?
Not yet.
Okay.
Okay, Christina, I want to ask you something, because the other day when I saw this report demonstrated on the start and end dates, it said, I thought that it said in that value type, you were supposed to determine value at runtime. You're supposed to put that in that value.
That would be for the sponsored expense detail report, because for that report, you're only running it for 1 month at a time. But for this particular report, because it's a cumulative life to date balances, we don't want a date range, or else you won't get the full available balance. You'll get kind of skewed data.
I didn't get that as a clear point. So we were just running that particular report. Got it.
Yeah. Okay. And Sarah, you said go ahead.
There's something you missed. I don't feel so bad.
Okay, so once you have whatever specifications you want for which grants to run, on the schedule tab, this is where you're going to tell Workday when you want it to run the report. So leave the radio button every month selected, and then under recurrence type, click days of the month. And then in this box next to that, click the 10th. So I recommend the 10th because that allows time for the payroll from the second half of the prior month to post. That way you're making sure your available balances take into account that payroll from the previous month.
Okay, it gave me 3 errors because like when I tried to click OK from the last screen, because it's saying it needs my start time, my start date, and my end date.
Did you click OK?
Yeah.
Okay, don't click OK yet. That the reason it's telling you that error is because you haven't filled out all of the other 2 tabs yet. So we're doing that right now, and then we're going to click OK at the end after the report criteria, schedule, and output tabs are all completed.
Oh, so, okay, I missed a step, sorry. So you hit schedule, and that's what I should hit from my main screen. All I have is my grants entered, but then I need to hit schedule. Okay.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. So then under this monthly recurrence criteria section, leave every month selected and then days of the month. And then in the box next to it, click 10th. And then for start time, you get to choose. I would recommend picking a time in the morning so that your reports are ready in your inbox, but you can pick any time of day that you want.
Okay.
And then for range of recurrence, we're going to start it on the 10th of the month. So we would want to start our range of recurrence on the 10th of the next month. So we would put 01/10/2023. And then your end date should be 1 year from your start date. So we would put 01/09/2024.
Can we not run that out 3 or 4 years?
Unfortunately, no. You can, there's a limit to how far out you can schedule it, but if your schedule gets close to expiration, you'll get a little notification to edit it, and it'll give you a link to come back to this and then change the end date. So that's kind of, I agree with you. I'd like to have it allow us to schedule further into the future, but for whatever reason, that's not allowed. That's a Workday limitation. So once you have your range of recurrence entered, then the last tab is the output tab. So don't click OK yet. We're going to go to the output tab before we click OK. Okay, so then on the output tab, there's a radio button for what format. I recommend leaving it in Excel format so that way you can use those plus buttons to expand and contract the data. And then under files to be deleted after days, this is the number of days that the file is available for you to download. I think 5 days is kind of low to me, so you might want to increase this to 10 or 15 days, just in case you don't happen to get to it and download it within the first 5 days. So
is there an upper limit to that?
I'm not aware of an upper limit. I don't know. Let's try.
Can I go with 30 so it's there until the next?
I was thinking 365.
Yeah, well, it looks like the upper limit is 3,650.
I'm doing that.
Okay. You're going to have a lot of reports waiting for you. And then whenever you've got that, then click OK. And so I'm just going to click OK now. It'll pop up with a little, tab here showing whatever I scheduled. If you want to change it later, this little button that you see next to a lot of things in Workday, it's called the related actions button. Some people call it a Lego, some people call it a Twinkie. From this button, that's what lets you edit. So you can come here into this menu for scheduled future processes and edit it later if you wanted to. Like if you forgot to add one of your grants to your filter, you can change the schedule without having to create a brand new one just for that one grant. So we're getting pretty close to the end of time though. As I said in the beginning, I'd be happy to come back and do this demonstration again, or do a hands-on kind of let's all put our schedules together meeting with other faculty if they would like, or I can come back and show you how to schedule other reports like the sponsored expense detail report or any other any other things you might want hands-on help with for modernization.
So that I don't miss all that I've done, because I've done that with Workday before, where it easily forgets everything if I don't hit the right final button. There's no more button to push at the screen. There's no schedule. There's no save. It's just good.
If you clicked OK, then yes.
Under, well, this on this screen that you're showing, I don't see anything more to click. Is that right?
Did you already click OK on the last screen?
On the output? Yes.
Then you're good.
Okay. And if I did all of that with run now, that's how I'd get that report also.
If you did that with run now, it would generate your Excel format immediately. Well, I mean, it would run it in the background while you're working, and then you would get a little notification like this in on your Workday screen where you see the bell. You would get a little notification, and there would even be a pop-up that would say your report is ready to download, and it would have a hyperlink. And then when you did that, you'd be able to click right there to get it, or under your profile, when you click the little person icon in the top right under my reports, it would also show up there. So you would have a list of your file right there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So Marcus, I see your question in the chat. One of our reference guides is for exactly how to set up the sponsored expense detail report. I think you could follow the reference guide now that you've done one and probably know what you need to do on that. I don't believe that we have a reference guide for the non-core budget to actuals with encumbrance summary. The concept will be similar to the one that we just did, but it might have a little bit different settings. So if you want to try that one and you need some help, you can reach out to me, or I can put you in touch with someone on the reporting team who has expertise with that report and can help kind of understand what you're looking for in your schedule. Each report has different prompts, and so depending on what the prompts are asking for, you might have to change things on that report criteria tab to get you what you want to see. But I'm pretty confident about the expense detail one. I think the reference guide, when we have that published, will be plenty for you to know what to do on that.
Thank you. I will look forward to getting these in an email on a regular basis. So appreciate this information.
Yeah. Anytime.
Thank you so very much, Christine and Garrick. This has been great.
Good, I'm glad.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
This will put us
Believe it or not, I was working in the background. I found both of my grants in Workday, finally.
Awesome.
This is really great. It's going to help us in our quest to be compliant with the federal government granting agencies. So thank you so very, very much. I'm looking at the time and it's exactly 11 o'clock now. Thank you. And we will be in touch if there's a need for additional support for our faculty. But on behalf of the faculty and the entire college, we are very grateful for you coming here this morning. Thank you so very much.
Also, yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you, Beth. Yeah.
Thank you.